I am Zach with WorleyTutorials.com, and today we're going to be talking about fills and strokes. Like I had mentioned in previous videos, if all you see is this blue line here, then that is simply the anchor points and the paths. And if you print it or if you export it, you will not be able to see anything. It looks just like a piece of paper, but of course in Illustrator, there it is. That is because this is kind of the skeleton of any shape. Now, any shape has three different things that make it to where you can see it, where it's a visible attribute that is seen on an exported or a saved file. One is the fill. That's the center, so I'm going to change that up here. You have this little drop down. You can click on that, and you have the basic colors, but of course we'll talk about colors in a later video. So you have the fill, which fills the inside, and then the stroke is the outside color. So I'm going to just choose orange so you can see it. So if I deselect, you can barely see the orange in there. I'm going to go ahead and raise the stroke. We'll talk about that here in just a second. But you can see that there's the outside color and the inside color. This is the fill, the stroke, and the third option is the effect. I'm not going to get into this right now. That's going to be a little bit later, but effects can be anything like drop shadows or anything like that. So if you go to stylize, drop shadow, I'm just going to preview this. You'll see that it adds a drop shadow. All three of these things are what you will see if you were to print this out or to put it on screen or export it. So that being said, we need to know how to control these things because, of course, this is what's going to be seen by other people. So the very first thing that you can do is the very easiest thing is the fill. And you can come in here and select your solid objects or your solid colors, and it's that part's really easy. It is what it is. It fills it. Down here you have these other options of like a gradient. So a gradient is when a color fades into another color over a space of time, over a space. Again, I'm not really going to get into the actual colors until a later video. Actually, it's the video right after this one. So stay tuned. But these are the solid colors of the fill. The stroke, that's what I want to kind of focus on in this video. You have the option to do your different colors, and you'll notice that you have a stroke. The word right here is, if you hover over it, it's actually a link to a panel. So you can click on that, and it's going to open up your stroke panel. It's going to give you options to make your strokes look different. So you have your cap, your corner, a line stroke, all that kind of stuff. What I'm going to do, I need to change this to more of a green. No, there we go. The reason I did that is because I want to make sure that you guys see this blue line on the inside, which is the actual line that the stroke is centered around. So click on this little stroke, the word stroke, and cap we'll talk about here in just a second, but the corners, here's what's kind of cool. If you have these straight corners, then it's obviously going to be a very sharp-edged corner. However, if you click on this next one, you have kind of a circular angle to the stroke on the corners. And you can make it to where it's kind of cut off. This is kind of a sign of amateur versus professional looking designs, because anytime you can make an image look smoother like this, it just simply looks more professional. I mean, it's kind of, you can see the difference right here. Here's the sharp edge, kind of just seems quick, easy. Nobody knew really what they were doing, but if you curve the angle, then it's going to look a little bit higher class. Now the align stroke is, you see how this blue line is right in the middle of the orange? Well, if I click on this next option, what it does is it takes that the anchor points and paths and puts it on the outside of the stroke. And the same thing with the last option, it puts it on the inside of the stroke. This matters sometimes. Honestly, I don't really change that very often. I do change the corner and the caps fairly often, but as far as where the anchor point is, I don't really worry about that too much. The point means the size. So how many points do you want that stroke to be? Now here is where the strokes get pretty cool. If you go to uniform and click the drop down, you'll see that you have these different options for different shapes. So if you click on where the second shape here, width profile 1, then you have kind of an eye shape. So it's smaller at the beginning of the stroke, and it gets bigger in the middle, and it gets smaller at the end. So you can see the shape. It starts out small, gets bigger, and gets fatter on the in the middle, and then at the end of it, it kind of thins out again. So you can see that these different shapes work even though they're on a shape. So if I was to bring a line out here, let's bring that point way up, and I was to change the uniform, then you can see that the shape that you see here, you see here. But of course, the stroke is all over the place. It's on every shape. It's on everything that you use. There will be a stroke. A stroke is simply just the path in between 2 points. So that's why different shapes can really look pretty cool fairly quickly, because you're simply just, you change the stroke and it looks cool. I'm going to grab this shape, and the reason I am is because the very next option is the brush definition. If you click on the very first option below basic, then you'll see that it kind of looks like a sketch. And I'm going to size this up so you can kind of see it better. But this is how, it's not the shape of the stroke, but what the stroke looks like. What's it filled with? So you can come in here and you can change the stroke options, and then sometimes you have to size it up or size it down depending on what kind of brush definition you have. And it gets pretty cool. You can have like an actual brush type of feel, or if you want to look like you're cutting something out, then there you go. You have that option also. So that is how you change the definition of the stroke. The opacity is just that, the opacity. If you don't know what that is, that basically means the how transparent your object is. So if I was to bring this to 50, you'd see that it kind of fades out. And if I put anything behind it, it's going to be see-through at 50%. If I go to 100%, it's obviously like a door. If I go to 0%, it's like a window. The rest of these, don't really worry about right now. We may get into more of those details later, but I just wanted to talk about the basics of it. Now, if you go over here to the side, these are all your tool options. So if you notice, if you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. And you can see that this stroke has some of those options as well. So you have the size. Let's see if we can expand this out. Nope. It has the size of the stroke, but most of your options are going to be over here at the top. So you're going to have uniform, brush definition, and on the word stroke, you have a little bit more specific details according to the stroke itself. Now, really quickly, before we're done with this video, I'm going to make a line. I'm going to make it quite a bit bigger. Click on the word stroke, and here, this is where the cap is kind of a big deal. So you notice that the end of your stroke, it meets up right with the anchor point, which is good. That's what you want. But if you wanted a rounded cap, then all you have to do is select this second option, and it rounds around your anchor points on either end of the stroke. And then you have the last one, which is a projecting cap, and that basically just expands it out past your stroke or your object. This comes in handy whenever you are just trying to make things match up right where they're supposed to be. The one you're going to use the most between the two the most are the rounded cap and just the regular old straight line thing. Again, this is kind of the difference between, kind of a clean, professional, upgraded type of look and just the basic look. So, but of course, the basic look, sometimes when used in the right setting, it's exactly what you need. So that is the basics of the fills and the strokes. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about colors. So we'll talk about fills a little bit more in depth.